The storm split the night sky, casting silver fire across the valley. Evelyn pressed her hands to the ancient stone, her breath quickening as visions pierced her mind. She whispered, "No, this cannot be." The images bled into her reality, Darius standing with fire raging behind him, his eyes full of sorrow, his hands bound in chains of light. The ground trembled as if echoing the truth she saw, and her heart cracked beneath the weight of it. She staggered back, clutching her chest, fear and longing fighting inside her. Darius' voice haunted the vision, low and broken, saying, "If my fate is destruction, then so be it." Evelyn cried out, "I will not let destiny steal you from me." The stone glowed beneath her fingers, searing her skin as power surged through her veins. Magic erupted, tearing apart the night with a violent blaze, and everything she loved seemed to shatter in one heart-stopping moment. The storm quieted into an eerie silence, broken only by Evelyn's ragged breathing. She stumbled into the forest, branches clawing her cloak as if to hold her back. "I will not let this future take him," she whispered, gripping the wound burned into her palm. Each step deeper into the woods felt heavier, the visions replaying with every heartbeat. Darius chains the fire, the end of all things, destiny written in blood and light. She pressed her forehead against a tree, gasping, "If I must fight fate itself, then I will." The forest seemed to listen, shadows thickening around her as the unseen world stirred. Darius strode into the clearing, searching for her, his sword gleaming faintly under moonlight. "Evelyn," he called, his voice low and strained. She froze, torn between relief and dread, knowing he was both her salvation and her doom. He stepped closer, shadows shifting across his strong features, his storm-gray eyes catching hers. For a heartbeat, the vision overlapped with reality, and she nearly cried out. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. Darius said, "Where you go, I follow." Her heart ached at his vow, knowing destiny demanded she push him away, yet love pulled him closer. They stood a breath apart, the storm's remnants dripping from leaves overhead. Evelyn whispered, "I saw you chained, Darius, bound in fire, destroying all I loved." His jaw tightened, pain flickering across his face. "Then you must know I will fight it," he said, steady but raw. She shook her head, tears spilling. "It is not a fight you can win alone. Fate wants you broken." He reached for her hand, his touch warm against the seared mark, glowing faintly. "Then fate will have to fight me too," Darius said, his voice fierce, his eyes locked on hers. The forest quivered as if their defiance stirred something ancient. The stone's glow echoed faintly in the distance, a warning not yet finished. Evelyn pulled her hand away, heart pounding with fear and devotion. "If prophecy binds us, we must break it," she whispered. Darius' lips curved into a determined half-smile. Together then, their vow hung heavy in the night, fragile yet unyielding. The mist coiled tighter around them, shapes shifting within shadows, watching. Love ignited between them like forbidden fire, burning bright against the darkness of destiny. Morning light spilled over the forest, chasing away the storm's shadows. Evelyn sat near the riverbank, staring at her burned palm. Darius stood a few steps away, watching her silently. She broke the quiet, whispering, "What if the prophecy is true, and I cannot change it?" His jaw clenched, but his voice was firm. "You can, you must. I will stand with you." Her heart ached at his faith, though doubt still consumed her. She dipped her hand into the cold river, letting the burn sting, reminding her of what she carried. The water rippled, glowing faintly from her touch. She whispered, "Then the burden is mine to bear." Darius stepped closer, his shadow falling across her, his eyes stormy with determination. Evelyn rose from the riverbank, her cloak dripping with dew. She turned to Darius, her expression torn between love and fear. "You don't understand," she said, her voice sharp. "If I lose, the world dies. If I win, I may lose you." His steps closed the distance, his hand brushing her shoulder. "You will not face this alone," Darius said. eyes burning with resolve. She shook her head, forcing herself to meet his gaze. "You cannot protect me from fate." He leaned closer, his words low. "Then let me protect you from yourself." Her heart trembled at his vow, as though his touch bound her in ways no prophecy could sever. The mentor arrived quietly, his staff tapping against roots as he emerged from shadows. Arik, older and weary, carried wisdom etched in every line of his face. Evelyn straightened, bowing her head in respect. "You knew of the prophecy," she said, voice trembling. Arik's eyes softened, but his tone carried gravity. "I knew only that it would tear you apart if left unchallenged." Darius bristled, his hand tightening on his sword. "Then tell us how to break it." Arik sighed, leaning on his staff. "Prophecies do not break, they bend through sacrifice." Evelyn's chest tightened at the word, her gaze dropping to her burned palm. They gathered near the ancient stone once more, its glow faint in the daylight. Arik traced runes with his staff, his voice low and steady. "The prophecy speaks of love entwined with ruin." Evelyn's breath caught, her eyes darting to Darius. His hand found hers, grounding her. Arik continued, "One heart must break for the world to endure." Evelyn whispered, "No, there must be another way." Darius said firmly, "If fate demands sacrifice, it will be mine." Her grip tightened on him, pain flashing through her. "Do not speak of giving yourself away. I will not allow it." The runes pulsed faintly, as if listening to their defiance. The air thickened as if the forest itself weighed down upon them. Arik's voice lowered to a whisper. "To bend destiny, one must face betrayal." Evelyn flinched at the word, her heart remembering the shadows of Kael, the fallen hero. Darius' hand tightened around hers, sensing her fear. She forced her voice steady. "I will not betray, nor be betrayed." Arik shook his head gently. "It is not a choice you can refuse. Betrayal is the language fate understands." The wind stirred leaves into a spiral around them, the runes glowing brighter. Evelyn closed her eyes, whispering, "Then I will defy fate in its own tongue." The night stretched heavy across the camp, firelight flickering against Evelyn's face as she traced the burn on her palm. Darius sharpened his blade nearby, his silence cutting deeper than steel. She whispered, "You're hiding something from me." His eyes lifted, storm gray and unreadable. "Some truths only bring pain." She pressed, voice trembling. "Pain is already my companion." His jaw tightened, sparks flying from the whetstone. He finally said, "If you knew what followed me, you would turn away." Evelyn leaned closer to the firelight, her voice breaking. "Then let me decide if I can bear it." The flames flared, as though echoing the weight of their unspoken truths. A shadow slipped from the tree line, and Malrik emerged with a smile sharp as a blade. Evelyn rose quickly, her heart pounding. "What do you want?" she demanded. Malrik bowed mockingly, his cloak swirling like smoke. "Only to remind you that fate cannot be cheated." Darius stepped in front of her, sword raised. Malrik's voice coiled around them, dark and alluring. "Do you not wonder why your visions show only his ruin? Because he was born to destroy you." Evelyn's chest tightened, fury burning in her voice. "Lies?" Malrik smirked, his eyes glinting with cruel delight. "Lies are only truths you refuse to see." Malrik circled them like a predator, his words dripping poison. "Tell her, Darius. Tell her why the prophecy chains you." Evelyn's eyes snapped to Darius, searching his face. He froze, muscles taut, silence screaming louder than any denial. "You knew," she whispered, horror lacing her voice. His lips parted, but no words came. Malrik laughed, stepping closer. "Even he hides from you. What is trust when destiny has already chosen betrayal?" Evelyn's heart cracked, her vision blurring. "You should have told me," she choked, stepping back from them both. Darius reached out, but she pulled away, firelight painting her tears. Evelyn stumbled into the forest, branches tearing her cloak. Her breaths came ragged, Malrik's words echoing. Darius caught up, grabbing her arm. "Evelyn, wait!" She spun, eyes blazing. "You hid the truth from me." He flinched, guilt raw in his eyes. "I feared losing you, more than I feared fate." Her voice cracked. "And now I don't know if I can trust you." His hand dropped, sorrow breaking across his face. "I swore to protect you, even from myself." Tears slipped down her cheeks as she whispered, "But who protects me from betrayal?" The silence between them was sharper than any blade. Later, Evelyn sat alone on a mossy rock, clutching her knees to her chest. The burn on her palm pulsed, echoing her heartbreak. A faint shimmer moved at the edge of her sight, and Selene stepped forward, her form shifting like water. Evelyn whispered, "Who are you?" Selene smiled softly, eyes unreadable. "A friend or a foe depending on what you believe." Evelyn's pulse raced, yet she did not turn away. "What do you want?" Selene's voice was velvet and smoke. "To show you that truths are never whole, and sometimes betrayal is only the first step toward freedom." A forest glade shimmered under moonlight as Selene circled Evelyn, her form flickering between shapes. Evelyn steadied her breath, refusing to look away. Selene's voice slid like silk. "Your visions are fragments, not the whole truth." Evelyn's pulse quickened, her fists clenching. "Then, show me the truth." Selene's eyes glimmered, a mixture of challenge and pity. Truth can wound more deeply than prophecy. Evelyn stepped forward, her voice trembling with defiance. "I'd rather bleed with truth than live in a lie." Selene extended her hand, shadows curling around her fingers. "Then prepare yourself, for what you learn may break you." Selene pressed her hand to Evelyn's brow, and visions ignited like fire. Evelyn gasped as images flooded her mind. Darius' chains, Malrik's mocking smile, a city in flames. But then, something new. Darius weeping, kneeling before her, begging for her forgiveness. Her chest tightened as the vision shifted again, showing a golden thread connecting their hearts, pulsing with fragile light. Evelyn staggered back, clutching her chest. This was never just about ruin. Selene's expression softened. "Love is both your curse and your salvation. It binds you, even as destiny seeks to sever it." Darius burst into the glade, sword drawn, eyes blazing as he saw Selene's hand on Evelyn. "Step away from her," he shouted. Evelyn stumbled, clutching her chest, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Me?" "Darius, wait." "She showed me the truth." His gaze flicked between them, suspicion thick in his stance. Selene smirked faintly. "You hide more from her than I ever could." Darius' jaw clenched, his blade steady. "You know nothing of me." Evelyn stepped between them, her voice breaking. "Enough, both of you. Secrets are tearing us apart." Her tears fell, glowing faintly in the moonlight. Arik arrived, his staff glowing faintly, his face shadowed with sorrow. "It is time you know the truth," he said, his voice heavy. Evelyn turned to him, her chest heaving. "You knew all along." His eyes met hers, weary but resolute. The prophecy was not about one death, but a choice. One heart must be broken willingly, or all hearts will burn. Evelyn's knees weakened, her mind reeling. Darius whispered, "Then it is my heart that must be broken." She shook her head violently, sobs rising. "No, I will not sacrifice you." Arik lowered his gaze, whispering, "The truth always demands a price." The night deepened, silence thick with unspoken fears. Evelyn stood trembling, her gaze moving from Darius to Arik to Selene. "All of you kept this from me," she whispered, fury and heartbreak mixing in her voice. Darius stepped closer, his hand reaching for hers. "I only wanted to protect you." She pulled away, shaking her head. "Protection built on lies is only betrayal." Selene's eyes softened, her voice quiet. "Sometimes betrayal is the only way to save." Evelyn's fists clenched, golden light flickering in her palm. "Then I will save myself, and him, without losing either." The power surged, her vow defying destiny. The ruins of an abandoned temple loomed under storm clouds as Evelyn entered, her pulse racing. She froze when Kael stepped from the shadows, his once familiar eyes now burning with torment. "Evelyn," he said, his voice raw, "you should not have come." Her heart twisted, seeing the man she once trusted, shrouded in darkness. "Kael, what happened to you?" His lips curved into a broken smile. "I chose power when love betrayed me." She reached for him, but he pulled away, shadows clinging to his frame. "Do not pity me. I am no longer the man you loved." Her chest ached as thunder shook the sky above. Kael circled her slowly, his boots echoing on stone. "The prophecy binds me as much as it binds you," he murmured, voice laced with bitterness. Evelyn's breath caught. "You let it consume you." His gaze hardened, shadows flickering at his fingertips. "I was left with nothing else." Her throat tightened as she whispered, "You still have a choice." Kael laughed bitterly, the sound echoing through the ruins. "A choice to die for love, or to live with power. I made mine long ago." Evelyn's tears glistened as she answered, "Then I must make mine, even if it tears me apart." Darius entered the ruins, sword raised, his eyes locking on Kael. "Step away from her," he growled. Kael smirked, lowering his head slightly. "The protector arrives ever too late." Evelyn rushed between them, her voice trembling. "Stop, this is not the way." Darius' jaw tightened. He chose his path. Kael's expression flickered with sorrow, quickly masked by anger. "And you chose hers." The tension cracked like lightning, both men facing each other with fire in their eyes. Evelyn spread her arms, her voice breaking. "Fate cannot demand I lose one to keep the other." But the prophecy's weight pressed like chains around them all. Kael's voice cracked, his shadows faltering. "Do you know why I fell, Evelyn? Because love was never enough." Evelyn shook her head, tears falling freely. "You let despair twist you." Darius stepped forward, blade steady. "Release her, Kael." The fallen hero's chest heaved, conflict breaking through his hardened mask. "If I let her go, I lose the last piece of myself that remains." Evelyn whispered, "Then let me remind you who you were." For a heartbeat, Kael's shadows stilled, his eyes softening as if the man she once loved flickered within him. But then he roared, darkness flooding the ruins once more. The storm climaxed as the prophecy's weight bore down. Evelyn dropped to her knees, clutching her chest as golden light bled from her palm. "No more!" she cried. Darius reached for her, desperation in his eyes. Kael staggered, torn between rage and sorrow, his shadows flickering weakly. Evelyn's voice rose above the storm. "If sacrifice must be made, then let it be mine." Darius shouted, "No!" while Kael's eyes widened in anguish. Power surged, shaking the temple walls as Evelyn's vow tore through destiny's chain. The three of them stood on the brink, love, ruin, and choice colliding in one devastating heartbeat. The temple shook as Malrik emerged from the storm, his cloak swirling like a living shadow. Evelyn braced herself, golden light searing from her palm. Darius moved to her side, sword gleaming, his jaw set in grim determination. Malrik's voice thundered, "You cling to love while the world crumbles. How pitiful." Evelyn's chest heaved, her eyes blazing with defiance. "Love is stronger than your chains." Malrik's lips curved into a cruel smile. "Then, let me show you how fragile it truly is." The ground cracked beneath them as darkness surged, swallowing stone and sky alike in a vortex of ruin. Malrik raised his hand, shadows lashing outward like serpents. Evelyn cried out, summoning light from her palm to shield herself and Darius. The collision split the temple floor, sending shards of stone into the storm. Darius roared, charging forward, his blade flashing through the darkness. Malrik's cloak twisted unnaturally, deflecting each strike as sparks of magic burst in the air. Evelyn's arms trembled, her shield flickering under the strain. "I cannot hold it," she shouted. Darius shouted back, "Then let me fight for us." Malrik laughed, his voice like thunder. "You fight against fate itself. You will always lose." Kael staggered into the chaos, his armor cracked, shadows clinging desperately to his frame. Evelyn's heart lurched. "Kael, stop this before it consumes you." His voice cracked, torn between fury and grief. "It already has." Darius stepped forward, blade steady. "Then stand with us. End this together." Kael's eyes softened for a heartbeat, memories flickering behind the torment. Malrik snarled, "Do not falter now. You are mine." Kael's jaw clenched, his body shaking as shadows warred with light. Evelyn whispered through her tears, "Choose love, Kael. Choose yourself." His scream tore through the storm as he fell to his knees, torn between redemption and ruin. Kael's scream shattered into silence as golden light burst from within him, ripping through the shadows. He lifted his face, tears mixing with rain. "Evelyn, forgive me," Malrik roared, his cloak tearing as the bond fractured. Evelyn's heart broke as she whispered, "Always." Kael rose, his body glowing with both shadow and light, a living paradox. He turned to Malrik. "This ends now." With a final surge, he hurled himself into the storm, colliding with Malrik in an explosion of light and darkness. Evelyn screamed his name as the temple walls split apart, the ground shattering beneath their feet. The explosion cleared, leaving ruin and silence. Kael lay broken at the temple's heart, shadows finally gone from his body. Evelyn stumbled to him, cradling his head in her lap. "You chose love," she whispered, sobbing. His lips curved faintly. "And it saved me." His final breath faded as his eyes closed. Evelyn's heart shattered, golden light dimming in her palm. Darius knelt beside her, his hand on her shoulder, sorrow etched in every line of his face. Malrik staggered in the distance, weakened but alive, his fury burning. Evelyn looked up, her grief hardening into resolve. This is not over. The storm ebbed into silence, leaving the temple ruins bathed in pale dawn light. Evelyn rose slowly, Kael's body cradled one last time before she laid him down gently. Her tears had dried into resolve, her gaze fixed on Malrik staggering among the shattered stones. Darius stepped to her side, his sword heavy but ready, his breath uneven. Malrik's voice rasped, bitter and broken. "You've gained nothing. Love cannot save a dying world." Evelyn's palm glowed faintly, golden light returning with each heartbeat. Her voice was steady, unwavering. "Love is the only thing that can." The dawn wind carried her vow across the ruins. Malrik steadied himself, shadows rising once more, though weaker than before. "You think love shields you. It is a weapon I will turn against you." Evelyn's body trembled, but she stood tall, golden light brightening from her palm. Darius' hand brushed her shoulder, his presence grounding her. "We face him together." Evelyn nodded, her heart steadying with his words. The golden glow expanded, weaving around them both, forming a bond of light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Malrik sneered, but fear flickered in his eyes. "You cannot fight destiny." Evelyn's voice rang clear. "We are not fighting destiny. We are remaking it." The ground quaked as Malrik hurled his final surge of darkness. Evelyn and Darius braced together, their joined power exploding outward in golden light. The collision split the sky, shards of energy raining like meteors. Malrik screamed, his form unraveling, torn apart by the very shadows he commanded. Evelyn cried out, her body burning with strain, yet Darius' arms anchored her, his strength flowing into her. Together they pushed back until the last of Malrik's darkness shattered into silence. The ruins stilled, only their labored breaths filling the dawn. Evelyn fell against Darius, whispering, "It's over." His hand tightened gently. "No, it's only beginning." The silence after the battle carried a haunting weight. Evelyn sank to her knees, exhaustion pulling at her body, her hand glowing faintly as if it still carried the world's fate. Darius knelt beside her, brushing damp strands of hair from her face. "You held the world together," he whispered. Tears welled in her eyes, her voice soft. "But at what cost? Kael is gone, and the prophecy demanded blood. Darius lowered his gaze, sorrow etched in his features. He chose his ending. You gave him peace. Evelyn's hand rested over his, her strength fragile yet steady. Then let us choose what comes next. Together. The sun broke fully over the horizon, casting the ruins in radiant light. Evelyn rose with Darius' help, her cloak torn but her spirit unbroken. She looked over the shattered temple, her voice steady. The prophecy is broken. What remains is ours to build. Darius' arm wrapped around her, his storm-gray eyes softening as he whispered, "Then let us build with love." Evelyn leaned into him, her heart aching yet alive. The golden glow faded from her palm, leaving only warmth. Together they turned toward the dawn, stepping into an uncertain future. Behind them, the ruins smoldered, a reminder of love's price.